Hey guys, this is RolloutReviews with Rollout Reviews, bringing you a Big Hero 6 toy review. This time it is Armor Up Baymax. Now it's worth mentioning before I get into this review that this is the Disney Store version of this figure. However, in this guy's case, I think the only difference is the packaging he comes in. It looks a lot different than what you'll see at maybe a Walmart or a Toys R Us. All of the 4-inch figures in this line, the Disney Store exclusive versions, have a premium paint job to them. That's very noticeable. However, this guy here doesn't have very much paint on him to begin with. So I think this toy is exactly the same as the standard retail release. Whatever the case, let's take a look at him. We'll start off with Baymax in his balloon-like nurse spot form, and right off the bat, this figure has a lot going for it, for the simple reason that it's relatively in scale in both of its forms to the 3.5-inch Hero figure, something the 5-inch Baymax definitely does not have. This is also one of the only ways you can get a fully functional action figure of Baymax in this form. You can get plushies and you can get light-up gimmicky figures, but as far as posable action figures go, this might be your only option. His articulation, his head rotates, his arms go forward and back and in and out. It looks like there might be a cut there, but that's just how the pieces sandwich together. If you try rotating this, you might break it. The legs go forward and back and in and out, and that's your lot. As far as details go, he has some paint application on the sides, on the front, on the sides of his legs in kind of a cream color, and of course on his head. You might want to watch out. While it's alright on mine, I feel like the paint application here could be a little bit dodgy. Fortunately, you can see this detail from outside of the packaging. I bought these online, so I didn't have that opportunity. I just got lucky, but if you find these in the store, definitely make sure that is okay. He does have little gaps in the sides, but it's nothing too bad, and they are needed to give him both arm articulation and to support the transformation. Speaking of that, let's first take a look at all of the armor parts and then suit this guy up for action. He can be a little bit difficult to stand, but as long as you get his feet flat, he stands just fine. Now the box says you have 20 connectable parts, but that's not necessarily true no matter how you look at it. Basically, you have these 11 parts with some other bits and bobs that attach to them. But even then, you only have 17 parts. If you pull this into its most basic form, this is an example here, like it doesn't need to come apart, but it can, you end up with something like 23 parts. Still not 20. I don't know how they got that number. Now, if there was any difference between this and the standard retail version, once again, this is the Disney Store version, it might be a slightly, and I mean slightly, sparkly paint application to the exterior. It's most notable on the wings, but I doubt you can even see it all that well. It kind of looks sparkly, maybe. That might be the difference, but otherwise it's the exact same toy, like I said. You have these thigh pieces here that plug onto these, just like that, on both sides. Of course, you have two halves of the torso, which plug together. If I can get this here, there we go. And then you have the wings that plug into the back. Just like so. From there, of course, the two halves of the arms come together. And then there's some shoulder armor that attaches to those. Just like that. The fists then plug on. I believe they come off because in the movie he has some rocket-powered fist attack. It's kind of cool that you can replicate that here, but it does look a little bit hollow. Whatever the case, you have two little hooks there that go into these two ports. It's simple enough plugging it in, and I don't feel like I'm gonna break it at any point doing that. However, going the other way around can be kind of scary. So you might want to actually just pull apart the arm instead of trying to force this fist out, just in case. But for right now, we'll keep that in there. So when all is said and done, you can reduce the parts count to 6 pieces for storage or otherwise. So once again, let's get Baymax ready for battle. Prepping the big balloon man himself, believe it or not, involves a little bit of transformation, and the engineering involved here is really cool, like nothing I've ever seen before. First, you extend his arms, and that's pretty simple. But in his core, he has this spring mechanism that allows these to come out like this, and then rotate on this joint. It's kind of like a ball joint in there, and as I understand, there's like a spring on the inside. It's super, super cool. Do the same thing over here. And what that accomplishes is it gets his entire torso flipped around so that he's stockier in the shoulders and so that the armor will fit. That's just awesome. Next, we're going to plug on the legs. There's these little clips here and little rods between his legs that those will snap into simply enough. Next, we take the body, a little bit of backtracking, pull that apart, and sandwich him inside it, just like so. Looks a little silly now, but let's give him his arms and his helmet. Once again, a little bit of backtracking involved from what we had before. We do need to pull apart the arms and reattach the other sides once it's in place, just like that. If we try sliding the arm into the armor here, it doesn't fit. So you got to do it this way, unfortunately. But it's simple enough. Just like that. The fists then plug on. You do have to kind of get his fingers out of the way, and that can be a little bit tricky. But there you go, one fist on. And the second fist on. Then just pop his helmet on, spread out his wings, and he is good to go. There is Baymax, all armored up. Unfortunately, this figure greatly sacrifices articulation for the nature of the gimmick. The head rotates, the arms go forward and back. If you bring them down, they slightly go outward, but that's about it. The legs go backward a bit, but not very far forward or out. The wings can fold up, and that's your lot. That said, this is a chunky, solid toy. It is fairly hefty for the $30 price point. You get a lot of plastic out of this. When comparing it to something like Hero, who is $10, that is well over 3 times the plastic for the price. That's not to say I think this was a ripoff, I just think this is a great price. It's very functional, and in this case, I greatly enjoy the functionality of that gimmick over having more articulation. Just standing there, he looks impressive, and that is good enough for me. Also, just the way his wings are designed, you can get your 4-inch Hero figure, which is sold separately, unfortunately, to perch on his shoulder. And that makes for an excellent, excellent display. If you're going to get one toy out of the Big Hero 6 line, definitely make it this, and definitely get a hero to go along with him. I think once he's armored up, he might be a little bit big, a little bit out of scale, but it looks fantastic, and that's really all I can say. Super, super fun. I think kids will enjoy this. I think collectors will enjoy this. And that is about it. So, this is IX Roll It IX, signing off.